Okay, now Garrett, I was thinking about this. I can't believe that his brother didn't die. Also, we're doing total spoiler discussions on Final Fantasy 16 if you have not seen the big banner.
Yeah, because they can kind of like merge.
How did he survive?
That's the one part I didn't understand. Like, he pulled in Ultima. He had essentially tuberculosis for the entire game. And then it's like at the end of the game, I thought he sacrificed himself for his brother.
Well, no, like in the beginning of the game when Clive is fighting his brother.
Oh, you're talking about when he gets smoked. Yeah,
I thought
he punches himself through the core.
It was one of the first things I thought. I'm like, holy crap, Clive just killed his brother, Joshua?
And that's the thing, is like they never really talk about how he lived. I get he's the Phoenix, and that's probably what they're leaning heavily into, but it's still like that core thing that you're supposed to protect just got absolutely murked. Like, he just punctured it like 8 times. Like,
yeah. I couldn't believe that, and I guess it's the Phoenix rising from the ashes, so that's a part of how he survived, but like at first you see that. It's one of the first things you see in the game, and he kills his brother, and I'm like, wow, that is dark.
I don't know if I just didn't pay attention, but do they ever explain why, I think they call him Ifrit in the story, has such a murder boner for like everything? You'd think he'd be like, since it's Clive turning into him, he wouldn't want to murder the Phoenix he's sworn to kill, but he just goes like it's hands on sight. And I was always curious on why it was immediate hands on sight with that guy, if at the end of the game they're supposed to fuse.
Well, I think it's
is it kind of like a Naruto thing
like
where he like loses it to his rage or whatever?
He was like absorbing all of the other icons to become the prime
Ultima,
vessel, right? To become Ultima. So it's like you see later on in the game, yes, the dominants can control the icons, but then once Ultima starts to appear, he can control the icons. So it's kind of like it's cool. Ifrit taking over and killing his own brother. And then as it goes on, I think Clive starts to control him more.
I would have liked to know why Ifrit was a thing. They probably explained it, and I more than likely missed it when I was goofing off.
Because he's a demon.
But it's like, I just wonder why, like...
It's like a bastardized dominant. He's like an evil son of a gun.
I wonder if... It's probably something to do with, like, the Phoenix is fire of, like, renewal, and he's probably fire of destruction.
Right.
That's probably what it is, so that makes a lot more sense. And it was kind of neat to have him. I just wish we could have found a little bit more on what all of it was for, like, why all this being, and, like, if it is related to the games. Because it was cool to see, like, Bahamut still looked absolutely awesome.
Yeah, so all these other icons that are in the game, you like Titan and Garuda and all of these guys, they're in the other Final Fantasy games?
I don't know necessarily if all of them, but a lot of them are summons. So Ifrit is a summon.
Really?
Yeah, like you can summon them. I know in like Final Fantasy 7 you can summon him. Bahamut is.
Okay.
Odin, I believe, is as well. Same thing with, I don't know if it's named Garuda. But
yes,
I know there is like
I've seen that one in particular. Garuda is in other games.
Because I know it's like a myth from India or something. It's like the king of the sky. So like it's in a lot of RPGs. Like I see that all the time. It's supposed to be like a dude with an eagle head.
Okay.
But I didn't know if that one was particular, but the other ones I have seen.
The last couple Titan fights, I was like just barely getting by. I would hope to God I would break through to the next phase so he could kill me and I'd get my healing items back. That's pretty much how I got through the last 2 fights.
That and like the last fight was like 8 different phases. It was like, oh, I beat him. Oh, there's another one.
Oh, he's back.
There's another kaiju fight. Oh, and another one. And another. Oh, now we're fusing. And then another fight.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. When do you die?
Also, the fact that he fused with his brother was so awesome. Where it's like you have Ifrit with the wings.
Yeah, with the wings coming out of the back, and you can shoot like the fireballs through it while you dash to him. Like that one was really cool. I like that a lot too.
Yeah, it was so cool. I loved the different lore behind how you can have one dominant running with a nation, and then he can just summon this icon, and they have all this power. And
yeah, like you even see it with it's a Jill in the beginning when she's being enslaved by like I think it's
the
like
beginning
the
was
group.
so cool when you're like going through and you're just like trying to dodge these 2 monsters fighting in the sky above you.
And like the entire environment is being ripped apart.
Right,
and, like,
right.
The ground is being rent. Like your teammates literally get squished.
Right.
Like the first like 40 minutes of the game, one guy gets like squashed, and you're like, oh,
like,
that could have been me. It was like a foot in front of me. All right, me.
Yeah. What else did you like about the game?
I had some.
What do you think about Ultima?
I actually kind of liked the idea that it was like our creator kind of was going against us. It was like this idea of God turned his back and then humanity trying to express its free will to beat it, because he's just like, you're here just to serve a purpose,
right?
And now your purpose is kind of pointless, so I'm just gonna re-rinse it.
So
Clive's whole thing is, it's not our fault that you left and we had to figure this out on our own.
Right.
Our will is because you left.
He created humanity in an attempt to find the perfect dominant to collect everybody.
I believe so. I would have
George
to, honestly, I would have to
play this game.
unfortunately go through the game again, all
I'm gonna let
50
it
years
to
of
him
it.
after I beat
But
it.
it definitely seemed like he created this whole thing waiting for Clive, because all the other ones were causing him to break down.
Right.
And one of the things that I really liked about the game is they gave the bearers, I mean, they mixed in like that racist subplot with like the bearers and
Right. I still don't understand, why would you mistreat the magic users?
especially,
Just because they can use it without the power of the crystals, it doesn't really.
but then it's like you think about it, and they get like the short end of the stick. Like, sure, you get ultimate cosmic power, but you turn to stone, and it's super painful.
Right. Yeah. I did. If I was in that world, like if I had a friend who had magical powers, I wouldn't say, let's brand your face
Yeah.
and treat you like hell. That doesn't seem like a good
And
idea.
then there's like a side quest where you can help one of the healers, and it talks about how dangerous it is actually to remove the brand. Like, a lot of them die when you do it. So,
Really?
yeah, like you can help one guy in like the healing tent, and he'll be like, yeah, I'm the only one that's going to be able to do it, and I'm kind of nervous because it's a good chance that I will kill them as I take the brand off. Like, they have to be ready for death for it. And I was like,
But
well, that's
Clive
kinda...
even had his brand removed.
Well, Clive is also the main character, plus the
but it's like,
dominant,
why?
so- It's because his mother
I never
hated
knew.
him so much, because he essentially was. Obviously, I don't think he was the woman's son.
he
He was
is-
probably from before him. But
He
like,
is the most emo main character.
Oh yeah, and the guy before him's name was Noxus, and he still wasn't as bad.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like he kills his brother. His mother hates him. He's banished.
he's got the
and he's forced
permanent
to,
emo swoop, like you can see it.
He's forced to join an army at a young age that he doesn't want to. He's like a militarist
It's like
kind of
mercenary.
Yeah,
almost.
he's a military mercenary dude, and it's like, you poor bastard. He's
Oh.
branded. Everybody hates him. He lost his whole kingdom.
His
It's
own
like,
mother hated him so much only because he essentially has the body that she wanted for Joshua.
right.
And it's like, well, I think even the line was, why couldn't you have been born as a dominant? Like, why did you fail? And then Clive's just standing there like, wow, okay, that's just what he's subjected to.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't
Excellent.
choose this. Okay, this is just the way that I am, and it.
And then his dad is super cool, but then gets like murdered in like a quick, nasty way, like right off the bat.
It like the whole beginning of the game is him in his childhood, and it's like, you are sworn to protect Joshua. Like, that's
Yeah.
his main focus, even through adulthood, is protecting Joshua. And the first thing that happens in the game is he kills him, and he's like, I failed
Yeah,
by
and then,
one
like-
purpose.
And then it literally, like, you can see, like, breaks him, and that's why he goes to the military, and he just
Right.
hunts dominance
Right.
just to find the one who killed him, little to know that it was him.
yeah.
That and Sid was pretty cool.
Yeah, Sid was cool. I kind of missed him when he died. I was
Yeah,
like,
I was
I
like-
really enjoyed him and Sid and Clive and Sid going through the game. That was a fun little dynamic. And
Because, it kind of, like, replaced the brother figure that he kind of needed.
why did Clive take Sid's name?
Because I
After
think
that
I
second
don't
time
think
skip.
Sid was that character's full name. I think it's more of a position.
Sidolphus?
Yeah, because I think like the CID, like the Sid, just CID, is a character from all the other Final Fantasies. He's usually like an airship captain or whatever.
Okay.
So it kind of fit in, but for the most part, I think after Sidolphus, it became more of a title.
Okay.
So I think he just picked it up so he could keep leading this hideaway, this revolution where they're going to hunt down all the mother crystals and
Because
destroy them.
everybody knows that the leader of the revolution is Sid, so he's just like, yeah, that's
So I was
that's
a
me.
little confused. Now, was it? They always said the blight, or like this destroyed area that you can run through, is because
Right.
the mother crystals are leaching mana from the soil.
Yeah, so that's the way I understood it. Like, as you're playing the game, because Clive's homeland, Rosaria, has like a little bit of blight in the back.
Yeah,
and
like
then
a
they're like,
very
oh,
li-
it's spreading. So as the game goes on, you find out like, hey, if we destroy these mother crystals, that'll stop the blight. That's like speeding it up, and as people use parts of this crystal for magic, they're speeding it up. So if you break the crystal, destroy all of that, it should stop the spread. But then as you get further and further into the game, it's almost like that made Ultima more powerful.
Because he even says
It
like I
spread more.
needed you to do it. Like
Right.
he needed that to happen anyways. And that's the one part I was like, well why?
Right.
I wonder. I must have missed that portion when he talked about it because he was like, yeah, you just did what I needed to. And Clive, you literally see Clive go like, shit.
He's
He's like, crap.
I really want to go back and play this again, and it scares me because it's such a huge
Such
time
a
investment.
long game. I mean, the benefit is you can just power rush the story.
Right.
You can just run through it without doing any of the side missions. It's not necessary. I honestly think you could probably beat the game. It would just take 50 years with the first story.
Especially noticing, like, since the main guy, the main the main kingdom is
Rosario. There's like Rosario, Sam Brack, and then the one across the sea.
well, which kingdom has Ultima? Because at the end of the game, you realize like, oh, they have Ultima. He's like the main bad guy, and that's why they're so powerful.
I think it was like Odin's world because you find out Odin was
and
like
they
his.
have two of them.
Yeah, because Odin and they had Sleipnir, and then I think what's his face kind of worked with them a little bit was it wasn't Bahamut, right? No,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Bahamut.
But then he turns on them after you beat him. Which
After-
was the coolest thing too.
Well, it was kind of neat where you see her new son, Clive's mother when she goes over to Sam Brack to be with
Right.
the Titan. You find out that her new son was literally just Ultima in disguise.
Yeah.
And the guy that plays Bahamut is kind of onto it, and you
Right.
see him launch the spear to kill him, and
Right.
his dad steps in front of it, so he murders his own dad. And you see it break him mentally. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it got real dark.
Because
there
you
at
see
the
him
end.
look at him once, and you see his eyes turn different. You kind of see him through the skin, and the guy's staring.
Yeah.
Because he's just becoming king over this super powerful dominant.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What happened to Odin's boyfriend?
I'm not sure.
Not Odin's boyfriend, Bahamut. Because Bahamut had that soldier that you were definitely involved with. And I don't know, he sends him away, but I don't know what happens to him, and I want to know what happened to that poor guy.
That was something I didn't really understand because watching it, it almost looked like Joshua and Bahamut were kind of romantic together, you know?
It kind of seemed like it. Joshua just kind of came off as one of those flirty boys.
Yeah, he was
definitely
he was
had
a pretty boy, definitely.
Oh, for sure. He had that golden retriever hair, and it was always perfect.
Yeah.
He had that one girl follow him around that never paid attention to. But Bahamut had that one soldier sweetie that brought him that one flower in the cutscene, and then I remember them smooching and stuff, and then he runs off, and then you don't see him again. And I always wondered what happened to that guy. That was my one question. It's what happened to him?
Yeah.
You think he would have joined up with Clive at the hideaway just to fight back?
Yeah, there's so much.
Take revenge on Clive for stealing his guy's superpower.
I really want to go back and play through all of this again.
You have to do it in spurts. Obviously.
Yeah, it's
a
the thing
long
because it's
game.
very much like Game of Thrones, where it's if you pay attention to this, I feel like
it probably explains
it's
it all.
there if you caught it. And now that you've seen the story, if you go back, I bet it's all just there, right in front of you. You just have to pay you just have to see it, know what's going on.
Because I guarantee you, it probably explains it all. And if you actually probably take the time to read it, that I definitely didn't do, you probably will get even better. Because you can go to that one chick in the hideaway. I don't remember her name, but she was the old. For whatever reason, I want to say her name was Martha, but I don't think it was. She was off in the top right corner by the bounty board.
Mm-hmm.
She gives you a rundown of all the of everything that's happening, the geological changes that are happening, the war zone.
Yeah.
And she kind of goes over all of it. And that was kind of neat. And then you can also talk to Hippocrates or Hippocrates or whatever. He's this. You tell him all of your adventures, and he gets more lore and kind of updates the story as well a little bit.
See, I didn't really mess around with much of the characters in the hideaway. For me, that was I just wanted the main story. I didn't want the side quests. I didn't want to do any of I did go to the blacksmith a little bit. I would check the vendor and buy some new armor every now and then when something was there.
Yeah.
I would upgrade and reinforce my stuff, but I didn't really. I think I did 1 or 2 missions on that beast board you were talking about earlier. But
it gets kind of hard near the end. There's just one guy that kind of kicks ass. And it's cool.
I was just so driven by what was happening, and it's I don't care. I want to know what. I just saw the craziest. Every night I would sit down to play it. It was I just saw the craziest thing I've ever seen. I need to know what happens next.
Their animation team, kudos to them, because it always looks super pretty. Granted, a lot of the particle effects did bog it down a little bit, but for the most part, it was really cool to watch.
Yeah.
All the fight scenes felt really stylized. You It kind of just felt like an anime main character just kicking the crap out of everybody.
This was an amazing game for the PS5. Like, I've had this for a while, but I haven't really had any games that really showed off the power of the PS5, and this was kind of amazing.
Yeah. No.
Like, we were just looking at a little thing for Rogue Galaxy here, and it's like, that definitely looks like a PS2 game, and this looked like a PS5 game.
Yeah, I know they're never going to
playing
make
it,
this,
I was
but
like,
you guys should definitely remaster that game. And my one thing is take out the useless talking when you're running, because that's the worst thing ever. But the game itself is great. But yeah, no, you can definitely see how dated it is when you look at that screen over there compared to what we just watched. I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh, God.
Everything about this game was clean and immaculate, and it's just, it's really amazing. And when you're playing it, the one thing I will tell you is, like, think about it as a JRPG, and you'll see, like, oh my God, this is the town that you keep going back through. Instead of getting all these new towns, it's like you just come back to the one main town, and then you go back on an adventure, and it's like there's your open world, here's your trainer encounters or your battles, and it's like your boss fights, and it's all there. You have the armor and the stats, not as important, but ability upgrades. And
yeah, keep an open mind. I kind of like where they went with it, because turn-based is very much a product of the time, and I don't think
there's a time
it has to be done like specifically well. Like, you can do it well with, say, like Baldur's Gate with like the Dungeons and Dragons game themes, but like for those long, crazy stories where that's not the main mechanic, it feels long as hell. Like, that's people's main complaint with like Final Fantasy 13, besides it being the most linear one of them all.
Right.
Is the game is just press X. After you get like what it was like, you get Lightning, Hope, and then the one Australian woman with the spear together, and then you just hit X with your superpower.
Right. Where this, it was at least you had to think about some of the cooldowns, because you did have cooldowns. You could pick between your 3 different, which I was also kind of bummed that you couldn't just keep cycling through all of them.
You would get like some crazy super. You would get to like 200,000 damage if you got like a stagger break. I get why they did it, but like I also was kind of bummed out with some of like the lightning one where you press circle and it's like shoots lightning.
Yeah,
it was probably the weakest of all of them because like. Slowed down combat, and you always got hit when you're trying to do it.
That's something that bothered me, because it was like, as you would unlock these new powers, they would have the square attack, the triangle attack, and then the circle thing with that icon. And most of them were movement related.
Yeah.
And then some of them, they're like, suddenly, if you hit circle, it's a block. And then this one, it's you can target enemies and shoot lightning. And then it was just, I don't know, I didn't like how that button didn't really have a defined
Well, I like the
ability.
Titan one because
it's nice.
If you could do it, the only movement thing I could think of would be either like a Geodude Diglett move, pop back up,
right?
Be annoying to deal with, or it would probably be like the ice ability, where you like dash off to the side, which would have been neat. But I think the dice one did it a lot better, just because if you get the perfect dodge,
like, think
it
about
like
this.
freezes everybody.
What if you have the rock guy, you hit circle, it brings up a big rock wall in front of you, just allowing you to move safely. Just stuff related to movement, where it's like when you're in the middle of combat and you're attacking, it's like, I don't want to be locked into this stupid lightning thing.
I mean, I like the Earth one only because while you're doing it, you can get into these like ultimate slugfests.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's literally you're just slashing and hitting them, and then every time they hit you, you block it. It does the thing where your arm comes back, and then you can uppercut immediately after.
I should have put more time into trying to learn some of the other abilities.
Well, all you have to do if you want to master the block is just put on that ring that tells you to dodge, and when R1 pops up, just press circle, and then that's immediately perfect block.
That's another thing. I went the whole game, because you told me that, and I was interested, but I went the whole game. I never used any of those rings.
Honestly, we used them, but I eventually turned them off. I would leave them on for Jessie because she liked them, and it allowed her to have fun with the game. But it definitely, if you want it for a little bit more of an authentic, you have to take that off. Because it makes it, time slows down. You get the R1, you press it, then you dash off perfectly.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, and they reward you for it. It was like, I feel like I should get the perfect dodge bonus if I'm kind of cheating.
The min-maxer in me was like looking at these rings, and I'm like, yeah, I could put on the gray rings that just make the game easier. You know, it'll prompt me to dodge. And what were the other ones? One would have Torgal auto attack. I had that on sometimes.
There's
I was like,
other one. I don't remember what the other one was, because I know I didn't really use that one. It was just the dodge one that I had.
Yeah, but it's like, I would rather have a ring that made my ability stronger and just play the game better. And that's how I went through it. And I think at the end of the game, that's why I was dying so much. Because if I would have had one of those rings on, I would have been easily able to destroy him. But
Yeah, because I mean, I know people didn't really like to step away from like the JRPG roots, but I gotta say, like the Devil May Cry games, like that hack and slash kind of combat style is my favorite. So I'm really glad that it got moved into a game like this.
It's cool the way that they did it. They updated the JRPG to the modern age, and I think they did it totally perfectly. Like, it's what a modern JRPG is. If you want non-turn-based combat. Because why do they all have to be turn-based?
Yeah, because
why do they all have to be stat?
They don't
focus.
And that's the thing, is people just don't really like change too much. It's
Yeah.
usually how it goes down. But I have to admit, I kind of like how that works. I really liked how the game forced you into like a different type of mentality than with that one, because the JRPGs, you literally would like just sit there for hours and it would take you forever to get through a dungeon.
Right,
You could beat
right,
this in like
right,
20 minutes and then
right.
move on to the next story and figure out the story.
It's like I was playing Persona 5 when that came out, and it's like it's a lot of talking.
It's too much talking.
The
I didn't
combat
like the
takes a
lifestyle.
long time, and it's turn-based, and you see the same animations over and over and over, and it's like
Don't get me wrong, music in Persona, super cool.
I do want to go back to it.
I would love to play it. I think I'm either not at the level of maturity, or I just have a smooth brain, or whatever it is, because I don't have the patience for all it. Like, I don't care what the main... I don't even know what his name. It's not like Rogue, is it, or something? But, like, I don't care what his, like, relationship with the girls or, like, the other guys in there, or, like, how to get the costumes. Like, I just kind of want to see what makes me into the Joker. I want to be the Joker and have him run around doing all the cool stuff with the crazy, like, funky pop music in the background that's like some guy going crazy on a saxophone. I'm like, well, that's kind of neat. I like that stuff.
It's just as I get older, it's like I have less and less patience for repeat animations where it's like the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
Which I'm watching Dragon Ball Z, and it's funny because it's
Literally
also in
all
there
it
too.
is,
It's like
yeah.
you see the same thing. It's like on a loop, and then they keep cutting back to it. And it's like, oh, he's still charging up.
There's like
He's
certain
still
times they'll do
yelling.
that in like One Piece, and the original you see it, and you're like, oh, I saw that one like over there. All
Yeah.
right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, like I get why you have to do. You're saving time on the production value and
Right.
all that, and it's for the most part there aren't too many unique moves you can do while you're fighting. I guess
Yeah.
like it's all gonna kind of like you throw a punch or you get hit.
Which this game had a lot of that too, where you have the same repeat animations where you use an ability over and over again, but it's more fluid. You're changing things, and it's fast. It's not taking up large portions of the combat. It's just you use the move, you do it, and then you wait for it to come off.
But then they put enough like physical effect behind it where
Right.
I feel like when you're doing the Titan, like we essentially call it the table flip, where he flips the ground on them. That feels like you're hitting them with a tectonic plate. So it's like it feels good. You hit them, they go like flying backward, and they get staggered for a couple seconds, and they get back up and they come back to fight. I thought that was a well placed way to do it.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on Final Fantasy 16. Anything else you want to add before we go?
It's a good game, but buckle in. It's a long one.
It's a long game. It's a good game. If you want time and value, like I played so much of this, and I didn't even do any of the side quests.
I did all the extra stuff. It took me like I think like a month to beat.
It's a good meaty game. Check it out. I'm going to show Garrett Armored Core 6.
Ooh,
Until
cool.
next time.
I wanted to see that too.
We'll see you later. This video is brought to you by your support on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/GrouchyGus94 to help support the channel.